Hello, everyone. How are you? Welcome on in to the Quillective. My name is JessyQuil, and I am a mental health advocate. And today is October 10th, which is World Mental Health Day. It's observed on October 10th every year, and the overall objective is to raise awareness on mental health issues around the world and mobilize efforts in supporting mental health. This day provides an opportunity for everyone who's working on mental health issues to talk about their work or their own mental health and what more needs to be done to make mental health care a reality for people worldwide. So, this year's focus is young people and mental health in a changing world. According to The WHO, their blog post for today, adolescence and the early years of adulthood are a time of life when many changes occur. For example, changing schools, leaving home, and starting a university or job. For many, these are exciting times. In some cases, if not recognized and managed, these feelings can lead to mental illness. The expanding use of online technology, while undoubtedly bringing many benefits, can also bring additional pressures, as connectivity to virtual networks at any time of any day and night grows. Many adolescents are also living in areas affected by humanitarian emergencies such as conflicts, natural disasters, and epidemics. Young people living in such situations are particularly vulnerable to mental distress and illness. Half of all mental illness begins at the age of 14, by the age of 14, but most cases go undetected and untreated. Suicide is the second leading cause of death among 15 to 29-year-olds. Harmful use of substances such as alcohol and illicit drugs among adolescents is a major issue in many countries and leads to risky behavior such as unsafe sex or dangerous driving. Eating disorders are also of concern due to bodily image. Fortunately, there's a growing recognition of the importance of mental health in young people to build their mental resilience from the earliest ages to cope with the challenges of today's ever-evolving world. Evidence is growing that promoting and protecting adolescents' health, physical and mental, brings benefits not just to the short term, but also the long term, but also helps the economies and societies that they live within and helps create healthy young adults who can make greater contributions to their workforce, their families, and their communities, and society as a whole when they are mentally healthy and sound. Much can be done to build mental resilience from an early age to help prevent mental distress and illness among adolescents and young adults, and to manage and recover from mental stresses, illnesses, and disorders. Prevention begins with being aware of and understanding the early warning signs and symptoms of any sort of mental illness or issues. Parents and teachers can help build life skills of children and adolescents to help them cope with everyday challenges at home and at school. Psychosocial support can also be provided in schools and other community settings, and of course, training for health workers to enable them to detect and manage mental health disorders to be put in place, improved, or expanded upon. Investments by governments and the involvement of social health and education sectors in a comprehensive, integrated, and evidence-based program for mental health of young people is very essential. This type of investment should be linked to programs raising awareness among adolescents and young adults, looking to find ways to look after their mental health and help their fellow peers, parents, and teachers to know how to support their generation of friends, children, and students. And that is the focus of this year's World Mental Health Day. So, you did hear the word resilience. What does that mean? It is not just simply a depreciated statistic in World of Warcraft PvP anymore. Resilience, and many of these points that I'm taking here are from the American Psychological Association or Psychology Today. Just like earlier, I took points from The WHO, not the band, the World Health Organization. Resilience, in a nutshell, is your ability to bounce back. It's not an innate trait. It's part of a growth mindset. So there's a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Growth mindset means that you believe that intelligence and things of that nature, knowledge, are things that you can build upon and are not just a finite resource within you, and once you've depleted it or once you've gotten to a certain level, that's it. That's totally the opposite of what growth mindset believes. They believe that when you work at something, you get better at it and you become more proficient at it, and so on. Resilience pertains to the thoughts and actions and behaviors that you have and can be learned and strengthened by anyone at any time. It is imperative to understand that adversity and change occurs, but people who have high resiliency do not let setbacks or obstacles shut them down. So, Dr. Susan Cross-Whitbourne, in her blog post on Psychology Today, mistakes don't have to be setbacks, even though the Mechanar was merely a setback. 3 ways to be resilient. There are 3 main things to keep in mind. Having high self-esteem, being able to regard yourself in a positive but not boastful manner, not with hubris, but with humbleness. And then there's something called attribution dimension. You dismiss experiences that you go through in a balanced manner without blame, and you let yourself off of the hook for any errors that occur. You don't constantly put yourself down in the dumps because you failed a test, or because you botched a small talk conversation with your coworkers, or you missed a deadline for a project because it was just too much and you forgot to ask for help. You don't shut down. You don't realize that this is the end of the world and there's nothing I could do. You say, okay, there's an issue here. I messed up. I could have done some things better, but the past is past and I'm going to fix on what's going on right now. That kind of thought process. And then also the perfectionism area. So I'm sure all of us know someone, or maybe even an innate trait within us, like something that we struggle with is perfectionism. I definitely struggle with that because I'm someone who doesn't want to present educational and psychological and mental health tools and information like this to you all and be in the wrong. I do a lot of due diligence with research and making sure that I give proper attribution to experts who have enabled me to piece all these things together and give a conversation to you all. But sometimes it just gets too much, and then I feel like I'm not doing it right, and then, oh, well, that special event already passed, so what's the point of me taking the time to do this, and so on and so forth, and then I just don't do anything. You want to be able to not shut down at the first sign of resistance and keep trying again. And that also plays into our Quill and Chill book club book, Black Box Thinking. I have plenty of notes on this lovely bugger. It talks a lot about businesses and successful celebrities and inventors and entrepreneurs who use failure as a learning tool. Because it is. Failure isn't the end of the world. It's okay to fail, and you need to look at it as a learning experience. And of course, sometimes mistakes can be costly, unfixable, embarrassing, and sometimes you can't recover from something that you say or something that you do. And a relationship or a job prospect or a major in university is going to be closed off to you for either forever or for a very long time. But having high resilience helps you understand the perspective of your mistakes without devastating yourself unnecessarily. And sometimes we do fail at a very, very high cost. And realizing that that's okay, and as long as we learn from that and move on and become better, that's a very big part of having resiliency. So how do you build resilience? What is it? Like, how do you start working on it? It's similar to a muscle, but it's mental and emotional. You want to start with having genuine, healthy, strong connections with a select group of other people. That can be a significant other, that can be your parents, that can be your coworkers, that can be your neighbor. It really just depends on where you are in life. Some people have had to cut off significant others or break up with their boyfriend or not talk to their parents because of narcissism. And that doesn't make you a bad person. You just realize that there's a toxic relationship or environments such as a job, such as a major in school, such as a neighborhood that you're living in that is constantly wearing you down mentally, emotionally, maybe even physically as well too. And being able to be mindful of these things that are wearing and tearing at your body and your mind, and taking a step back and saying, you know what, I need to get myself out of this situation. And you have to do it because it's for your own health. So making sure that you take a good observation of the people that you do have in your life and which ones cause you anxiety, which ones make you depressed after you finish talking to them. Is this job paying well? Is it worth the stress that you're going through? Is it not? Is it a stepping stone into a better part of a career and you just kind of have to soldier through it for one more year as an intern, and then you'll be able to apply for more permanent positions and so on, making those kind of hard long-term decisions. Having people that you have connections with help you make those type of choices. It's important to not see crises as insurmountable. There's very few times that a mistake is going to be something that you can't fix. And if it isn't something that you can't fix, realizing that it's not the end of the world and you are able to change your job prospects, change your major in university, move to a new city and start swiping right on other new people on Tinder there. Also accepting that change is a part of life. Not everyone that you love or care about is going to be in your life forever. And sometimes that's not your fault. That's because they've changed as a person. They need to do something that is either for their own health, or they switch jobs and you're on totally different work shifts, for instance. And then moving on from that, making sure that you have realistic goals. If you have this goal of, I want to be married and have 5 children by the age of 30, and it's a year before you're 30, and you don't have a steady significant other, that's probably not a super realistic goal. So you should dial it down and break it into chunks. So how about having a very stable relationship with your friends and your coworkers, and then building out from that, trying to find a significant other from a friend of a mutual friend of a friend, those kind of things. That's how people do it. Then moving on, making sure that you take a decisive action and don't always detach yourself and disengage yourself from what is going on unless it is an absolutely imperative and needed last step. So if you constantly just detach yourself and disassociate yourself with reality and just say, you know, whatever, man, I don't care, eventually that's going to eat away at you and you're going to blow up and people are going to get totally sideswiped by like, whoa, why are you freaking out about this? You always let us, you know, crash in your living room for days on end, and you never complain when we're partying till 3 a.m. in the basement. Like, why all of a sudden are you freaking out at 7 p.m. on a Saturday night? Like, come on. It's one of those things that if you just keep letting things build, and you don't take a decisive action and show your boundaries and make sure that you let others know that, no, this is it. I can't do this. Sometimes we don't have the strength to be able to show our boundaries. And if you just have to cut out a job or a situation or a family member just for your own mental health and take a break, that's okay too. Especially if a therapist tells you to do so. Have a positive view of yourself. Be proud of who you are. For instance, I'm not a huge caster on Twitch. I'm not a partner. But that's fine because I'm proud of the community that I've built and I'm proud of the content that I make. And I enjoy that even when I'm not talking about wonderful things like mental health and psychology, we have a really fun time making silly Star Wars noises when I'm playing Dead by Daylight, for instance. So, just put everything into perspective as well too. It's okay that I'm not partnered. That doesn't make me any less of a caster or any less legitimate of a content creator or a gamer or anything of that nature. I'm just on a different path and I have a different perspective and a different life goals than people who have those accomplishments and achievements. Always be hopeful for the future. You've gotten through every single other hard day of your life. What's one more? You can do it. You can work and get through it before, because this is just one hard day that you're going through right now, but you've done hundreds of others. This is going to be easy peasy lemon squeezy. That's something, remembering that helps me so much. Like when there's events at work and it's like, it's really stressful and they're like, oh, we need this, we need this, we need this. I'm just like, this event's going to be over in 4 hours. Like, I'm just going to do my best, get it prepared. And if it works, it works. And if not, in 4 hours from now, I'm going to be sleeping in bed. And that's it. All I can do is say that I did my best. And I was kind to people. I was straightforward with people. I made decisive actions. And I made sure no one was harmed or frustrated with the decisions that I made. Or minimally, at least. And as long as I can keep telling and doing that for myself, I found that my mental health has increased positively and is very healthy and exuberant because of these things. And finally, also practice self-care. Take that long bath. Go ahead and disconnect from social media. Binge watch your favorite movie or television series again. Eat some chocolate. Go on a walk with your dog. Go to the park and read your favorite book again. Or just, watch the kids play, or make funny stories about what the squirrels are doing that are running up and down the trees. Just really enjoy the moment and be mindful of the great things that you do have in your life and the things that you take for granted. Like everyone here, you have an internet connection. That's amazing. You are able to get so much knowledge from other human beings all throughout the world and learn so much about history and all of these new futuristic things that are happening. And just being able to take that in perspective and realize that you are very privileged just for having that kind of access to other people. It might seem like it's something that's like, take for granted because so many people have the internet. But just kind of take a step back. You woke up today. You're able to get out of bed. You are able to go to a job. You are able to have family and friends who smile when they see you come into the room. Now, those things might not be true for everyone, but these are just examples of things that we do take for granted and that are routine for a lot of people that we need to appreciate and be mindful of in the moment as much as possible. So, also you want to learn from your past. What kind of events are most stressful for you? Are they mostly social situations? Are they work related? Are they project deadlines for school? How do you make sure that you don't get into those situations as much as possible? You can't really avoid a deadline for work or school. These things are going to happen. But how are you going to avoid procrastinating or miscommunicating with other departments or your professor or your group at school to make sure that people know, yeah, I really can't come to any group meetings on Thursday nights. Thursday nights I work, or Saturday mornings I really just need that time to call my mom and just chill and, walk my dog for a few hours or go on a bike ride, so on and so forth. Like, you might not have to be that direct or straightforward with like why you need that time off or such, but just make sure that you are communicating with people and that you are very clear about, yes, I can do this. And as soon as you hit a roadblock or an obstacle, be straightforward and say, hey, I was on track to getting this done, but I encountered this problem. Can you assist me with this? Or can you give me a little bit more time to get this done? That type of communication is very important, and it's hard to do because sometimes we don't asking for help, and other times we don't feel safe or in a kind enough environment to be able to ask for that type of assistance. And it's very unfortunate that does happen to a lot of people, but change does start with you as well too, being able to have people see that you are an agreeable and helpful person. And then finally, also be flexible. Take steps forward. Take action. Be clear about your limits and your abilities. Ask for assistance. Nurture yourself before, during, and after situations whenever it's possible with healthy options. Spend time with your loved ones. Watch your favorite TV series. Pamper yourself with personal hygiene and bathing techniques. Relax by walking your dog in the dog park or reading on a bench on your favorite street. Those kind of just very basic things that we kind of take for granted. Just really get into the moment of them when you do have time and just enjoy them. Even if you could only do it for 20 minutes when you come home from work, or if instead of, taking that 5-minute shower with just some basic 99-cent shampoo, splurge a little bit if you're able to and get something that will fix your dandruff or will make your hair really nice and soft and shiny. And if you have curly hair, make sure that you put a little bit of effort into it. And those are things that can make you feel better. Another really great thing is to get plants. Some of the really great basic ones are just cactus and succulents. And make a little cute area on like your dining room table or on a windowsill and put them in these cute little pots, and being able to take care of them is just a really nice extra thing to do too. So going back and rolling this all together, resiliency is your ability to bounce back from tough situations, from being told no or being told you can't do that yet, or that you don't have the resources to do something. Being resilient is being resourceful, asking what you need in different ways from different people, trying to get what works for you, either in your job, in your school, in your personal relationships, and realizing that sometimes we fail and sometimes it is catastrophic, but most of the time it's not, and tell that little anxious voice in the back of our head to just chillax and go bother no one else, hopefully. So that is what World Mental Health Day, October 10th, 2018 is about. It is resilience, and hopefully you found that pretty educational. Ta-da! Any questions, comments, concerns, or additions anyone has?